Major cyclone threat for far north Queensland on tonight's Tropical Weather Bulletin. Tropical Weather Bulletin for March 18th. Well, it's good to be back on the Tropical Weather Bulletins on Force 13, and of course we have activity in the tropical zones of the world right now. Cyclone Narelle is the main feature, a Category 1 on the Saffir-Simpson scale and intensifying with a threat to land in northern Australia. But also a subtropical storm that's currently active in the Mediterranean Sea that's heading towards the coast of Libya, down to 40 miles per hour, was at 50 miles per hour earlier on yesterday now, but is still looking potent. Well, 75 days until the Atlantic hurricane season begins, still a way off yet, and the Atlantic of course is looking quiet, but I thought you may have wanted to have a look. The Eastern Pacific has 59 days, a little bit less of a wait there for the start of its hurricane season in May, and two frontal systems there on either side of North America, a big one moving off the east coast of the United States and another one producing significant precipitation for the Pacific Northwest. In the Western Pacific, of course, it's a year-round season. We've already had two storms, and some would argue three. There's been three names, but we didn't recognise Nuri as a tropical storm. JTWC indeed only went with a tropical depression as well. In the North Indian Ocean, it's all quiet here, but if you go by the local agencies, they also had a disturbance that may have been a tropical depression earlier in the year, but nothing on our books, and some significant precipitation right now over the eastern part of India, but apart from that, very little going on in the basin. In the Southwest Indian Ocean, there's nothing currently active right now, but we have seen 22 storms so far around the southern hemisphere this season, which obviously stretches back into last year, but 7 major hurricane equivalent storms as well. Certainly has been a busy one. South Pacific is where Cyclone Narelle is based and currently moving towards the west and likely to intensify further from its Category 1 status that it currently is at on the Saffir-Simpson scale. It's a high in Category 2 according to the latest Bureau of Meteorology update on the Australian scale and likely to intensify further very shortly. Here it is displayed on the map right now. Cyclone watch for Lockhart River to Port Douglas, Queensland. 80 mile per hour winds were giving it, pressure of 967 millibars, 12 south, 153.5 degrees east as of 10 a.m. Queensland time, Australian Eastern Standard Time. It is 40 kilometres from Sud-Est Island, which I believe is in Papua New Guinea, 84 kilometres from Panatanan Island, 965 from Cooktown in Queensland, 992 from Cairns, and 1103 from Lockhart River. Taking a look at the forecast cone from the Bureau of Meteorology, they're expecting a Category 4 peak on the Australian scale, I may add, which is probably around a Category 3 on the Saffir-Simpson scale, but of course it could notch up a little bit higher than that as well. It's got very warm waters ahead of it. And landfall there expected near its peak intensity, probably a little bit of weakening before it does so. Thankfully it is a generally sparsely populated area, but there are a few significant communities in the zone that we're expecting that landfall, with decent model agreement as well looking at that spread.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you're always in touch with the latest tropical cyclone updates, as well as following us on social media, and you can also join our Discord server for tropical weather chat at any time on discord.gg/force13.
Well, now let's take a look at satellite imagery, and obviously the main feature being Cyclone Narelle, which is looking pretty good, spiraling into the Coral Sea at this point. Still at a rather low latitude, and really that's going to be the case for quite a while. Oh, and there's that Mediterranean system as well, which has various different names according to various agencies in Europe, so we're going to leave them to it. Our TCOS designation is G3. And back to Narelle, there is a view of the visible imagery of it right now, spinning nicely. Underneath there, perhaps an eye starting to properly develop underneath some really decent convection, which is going to be absolutely completely smothering those islands up there as well in Papua New Guinea. As you can see, some really high cloud tops into the -90s in a few spots there over the very center of the storm, and a massive bulk of -80s denoted by the pink zone spreading out towards the north, now depicted in yellow on the ZAIR imagery. Southern side a little bit bare on those latest images. I don't know whether that might be some shear involvement, which might just limit this storm a little bit, but at the moment it's looking pretty good. And another view here, Samuel is the name there, given by one of the agencies, and its general movement in the last few hours has been east-southeasterly by the looks of things, heading towards Libya. Looks like landfall is going to be just south of Benghazi, moving inland, and will probably still be a subtropical storm with storm force winds by the time it gets there. Winds currently around 40 miles per hour, probably going to remain very similar. And certainly an interesting feature to be looking at this time of year, so we'll give it a bit more airtime there as well, with some significant convection out that northern side as well in those latest frames. Overall though, only just subtropical. This is Invest 97P, a system that we're not going to give much mind to be honest. As you can see, it looks extremely poor, no signs of rotation at all. It did look much better a couple of days ago when it was over Tonga, very nearly became a tropical cyclone. We gave it a 50% at its peak. Well, this is a look at the eastern United States right now, true color imagery. One thing I'd like to note on these images right now, of course, that big front across the US, just off the US now, but the southern part of it is still exerting itself over southern Florida and also over Cuba and Mexico. Some significant weather there in the Caribbean region. But what I'd like to show you there is the sun angle and just how it's changing very, very close to the equinox now, where the sun rises and sets at the same time all around the world for one day only. That's coming up in a couple of days. Western Pacific there, very little in terms of significant organized weather. The intertropical convergence zone doing its thing down there, a few tropical showers, and across India there as well, a few thunderstorms blowing up here and there across the eastern coast and extending a little bit inland and being moved off towards the east. Looking towards the southwest Indian Ocean, there is a little cyclonic rotation there actually, well inland over Mozambique, but obviously not a tropical cyclone at this point, and a very wide shot around the Australian region. Showing you Narelle on the right hand side doesn't do it justice, in particular this shot, because it is so far zoomed out. And there's the Mediterranean, showing that little system there as well. Actually, I think this imagery makes it look a little bit better than the other ones that were showing that natural colour. We don't have our usual sea surface temperature graphics today, but I still have a few for you. 26 degrees Celsius waters over a large part of the Caribbean Sea and already extending out into parts of the open Atlantic, which is looking good for the season upcoming. Eastern Pacific, obviously big rumblings about an El Nino on the way, not quite there yet, but really warm waters now for parts of the Eastern Pacific up the coast of Mexico, 28 degrees Celsius. Western Pacific also looking good in those deep tropical zones, 28 to 30 degrees Celsius in one or two spots right there. Off the Philippines, 26 to 28. And in the Australian region, looking down into the southern hemisphere, of course, where Cyclone Narelle is, well, temperatures looking pretty decent as well. 28 degrees Celsius, pretty much all the way up until landfall, maybe a little bit more than that, 29, maybe pushing close to 30 off the immediate coastline. SSTs are actually a little bit below average along most parts of the Australian coastline, but the Coral Sea coast is above average, around 1 to 2 degrees. Western Pacific also looking pretty good in those deep tropical zones, but the subtropics not quite so much. Eastern Pacific showing little signs there that the Nino 3.4 region is going to start to warm up and an El Nino may be upon us. Gulf of Mexico also much above average there. Oceanic heat content in the North Pacific there. This is from the 11th of March, but still fairly relevant. Already starting to increase in that energy amount in various parts of the Pacific right there. But I'm sure the next graphic's much more interesting. It shows the South Pacific, which of course includes that cyclone. It's only around moderate really for Cyclone Narelle up until that landfall zone. So I don't think it's going to be anything too explosive, but certainly the Coral Sea always gives these storms potential. What does the GFS model have to say about it? Well, here it is, taking it pretty much due westwards, a little bit of a bend south and then back up towards the north. Landfall not too far from Cohen, which is a little bit inland, and then moving off towards the west, holding on as a tropical storm on the other side of the Cape York Peninsula into the Gulf of Carpentaria. Probably a major hurricane equivalent Category 3 Saffir-Simpson scale before its first landfall, then a high-end tropical storm before that second landfall in the Northern Territory. there is that subtropical storm, which will hold on to storm force winds well into Libya and even into Egypt later on in that model run. So certainly looking interesting on that one, but it is going to lose its shape very soon. We're just going to about to draw that line. There it is, the track of it there. East-southeastwards mainly, getting on towards southeastwards and pretty much dying off just before reaching the Nile River, which we don't get to say very often. And this is the rainfall expectations then for the next 7 days, and obviously you can clearly see the track of Cyclone Narelle, which is going to be producing rainfall over significant areas there, although mostly sparsely populated zones, but we are looking at potentially 15 inches on Grid Island there, which is around nearly 400 millimeters, and just a little bit less than that on the Cape York Peninsula, but some zones just off the coast there pushing close to 500 millimeters, and there's always a chance that that pushes inland, and some residue from the storm on its southern side there, potentially 250 millimeters for parts of for Cairns even, and other parts of Queensland. A black screen for a while there, but now we're looking at the longer range. This is the very not the very long range yet, but the medium range there, looking towards the end of March, and there it is, Cyclone Narelle becoming a major again, and probably an even stronger storm as it enters the southwest Indian Ocean after battling land interaction for a good while, emerging just off the Northern Territory Western Australian border, and out it goes into the Indian Ocean, and it looks like it might be starting to curve there towards the end of that 10-day period. Coral Sea, might there be any further action behind that? There's a tiny cyclone there on the right hand side, and then maybe something else that tries to form. It's in the current path of Narelle ahead of it, just off the coast of Papua New Guinea, very far north indeed for that one. So we'll wait and see on those. We haven't designated either of those with a percentage chance yet. It's a little way off.
Check out our store page for Force 13 related merch, as well as our full season and individual storm animations on request by you. Also, if you like our work, please check out our YouTube memberships. Check the join page on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/force13/join.
Yep, so into the fantasy range, well, we take a look again at Cyclone Narelle. There it is, continuing to chug along as a major and then weakening. My goodness, it gets very close to Perth there as a strong, well, with storm force winds for the Perth area and nearly hurricane equivalent force winds for that southwestern tip of Western Australia. Looking in a little bit closer there again. Don't forget, this is very long range. 30th of March there is that closest pass to Perth, and out it goes, getting sucked downwards towards the southeast, losing tropicality, and eventually reaching Antarctica by the looks of things there. Coral Sea, looking at that one or potentially two systems. Oh yes, there's two small tropical storms there, really pestering the coast of Queensland. The first one looks like it makes the most progress. The second one really dies off very quickly. Both of them pretty weak and small by the looks of things there, and obviously in the long range, so I wouldn't really take too much heed onto that just yet. But interestingly enough, nothing else around the world, even out into the fantasy range. So let's take a look at what happened on this day. It was March 18th, 1990, where we had really a glut of cyclones right now and some really incredible analysis. Walter Gregorara, which was peaking as a Category 5 at the start of this day, Cyclone Alex, which was on its way to Category 5 status, and Cyclone Ivor, which may surprise a lot of people, only listed as a Category 1, but we've listed it as a Category 4 because there was a reading of 928 millibars off the coast of Queensland in that storm, and it's still one of our biggest mysteries because the storm really doesn't look very impressive on satellite imagery. If anyone has any info about that, feel free to let us know. So right now we're presented with the 2026 naming list for the Northern Hemisphere. Oh yes, it's that one again. It's the same as the infamous 2020 list. In the Atlantic, the first name is Arthur. In the Eastern Pacific, it's Amanda. And in the Central Pacific, list 1, next name is Lala. In the Western Pacific, it's Sinlaku. North Indian Ocean, we're looking out for Arnab. 22 storms so far this year around the world. The average is 92. We are code orange for Cyclone Narelle, which is there in the Australian region. The next name is Oran. Southwest Indian Ocean, Indusa. And the South Pacific, Vaianu. That's all for tonight. Hopefully, we'll have a regular bulletin schedule now, and we hope to see you again soon.